Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very first edition of Governance Room. In a twist of fate, we're not able to bring the very guest that was supposed to be on the stage. But of course, as S24 trying to change the media ecosystem, we always want to do something differently. So in our audience, there are multiple persons that can speak to governance. So we chose to talk about governance in Nigeria, and then trickling it down to Kaduna State precisely. We know the number of local governments, what the government is currently doing, what we can get better, and as 2027 general election approaches, what can we do as citizens to make this better? To dissect governance from top to the bottom or bottom up, I'm joined by S24 Director of Strategy, Research and Global Partnerships, Mr. John Costa. Thank you for joining us on this table. As I don't know what guest should I call you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. So in the audience, there are people from different social strata in our national life and also in Kaduna State. We'll definitely introduce them as the program continues. So on the very first edition of Governance Room taking place in Kaduna at Royal Apartments on Isakaita Road today, we want to examine what governance really means. And that's why it is called Governance Room. So to quickly touch base with the guest that was supposed to be on this platform this morning, Mr. John, we could quickly look at what figures we've examined together with you as for Kaduna Central, and then use that as baseline to start the conversation and then move towards people in the room. So starting with your conversation with the distinguished senator who represented Kaduna Central in the National Assembly in 2015 to 2019, with the key figures that shows a few constituency projects and also your interaction. What do you make of the whole thing that can make governance a little bit more accountable in our climate if you're able to put comparison in Nigeria what's obtainable in the UK as is?
Yeah, thank you. It was wonderful to interview the senator, particularly for him to give me an hour to talk to him in English, which was wonderful. I went straight back to his childhood with his parents, his mum working with as a community women's leader, his father working in a newspaper business as a production manager, and spoke very much around his early access to printed material and particularly books. His father was quite well read and there were books in the house. And what it made me realise that having later on in his life spending quite a lot of time in prison under the military regime, that he reverted to being almost like that child and actually started writing books. So we kind of went on a journey about books that he's writing now being on the shelves for a young child in Kaduna in 2026 to learn about these things. We spoke about him going to become a student and become a student activist, lots of access to materials that were supplied very widely by the Soviet Union and during the Cold War, and that leaning towards the left, Marxism and socialism. But I asked him very much around how the Cold War is perceived as conflicts in Africa, countries like Angola and Namibia, places like that, anti-apartheid, whereas we were talking there about the soft use of power when it comes to providing materials for people to read, educating people about different ideologies. Do you still need to keep reading the newspaper, watching the television and listening to the radio when there's all of this other literature about a world that you're never going to get? And it really spoke about insecurity as well, the impact of insecurity here in northern Nigeria, and how young people are attracted to different ideologies through maybe feeling they belong more than what their state or federal government provides them. And then that really moved us on to him stepping from being a student human rights activist into standing in politics. Because obviously once you step into politics, it's still activism. Politics is about doing things through people. But when you're in that thing, there's always people that will oppose what you do and will hold you to account maybe in a way that we wouldn't hold other people to account in a normal way. So when you're not serving one term and then being out again, I asked him, well, why are you re-entering re-entering that race. And a lot of it was to do with young people, changing things, holding people to account. I just felt he was a really good first guest for us to have, because it valued your hometown of Kaduna, someone that was standing in a slightly different way, but actually was prepared to have a record that was up for being scrutinised and held to account.
Okay, thank you so much. Talk about insecurity is one of the issues, or I'll say the challenge that we're facing in northern Nigeria, especially the northwest and other parts of the country. I think every region there is one insecurity thing that we're dealing with or the other. So in the northwest it's banditry and kidnapping. In the northeast it's the Boko Haram insurgency. In the north central it's also banditry, kidnapping. And southeast the IPOB, etc. The southwest the maybe kidnapping as well. And there is a group called Amotekun that does support in terms of outside conventional security from the military, the police, etc. So we'll touch base with security. And because people in government are in this room, I would like to go to the audience before we will take a strict pause to see what people are even saying about the senator on the Kaduna Central re-election bid, right? After leaving for 4 years. I'll start going to, if the technical crew, can you take the mic to the audience, please? We go to Mr. Yusuf to talk to us about these 3 key things. There is insecurity, there is food crisis, right? And there is also, if you link food crisis to maybe the economic situation, then there is what's going on with our community life that we're used to as a people, especially in northern Nigeria. So please, let's take the mic there. Khadija, where are you? While the mic is going, Mr. Yusuf would like for you to contextualize the security situation. I believe you're part of this government, right? And your role is in the sustainable development area, right? So let's address that quickly. Yes, Mr. Yusuf is just there. Thank you.
Do I need to stand up or just sit down? Okay. Thank you so much for having us once again. And the Nigerian situation is so bad that one would, it's a roller coaster of where to start from, you know. The insecurity has actually taken a lot of us, and unfortunately we're so divided to understand that the insecurity consumes us all. And when it happens in a certain region, sorry, excuse me, the other regions feel it is your problem. And they seem not to bother or to help find solution. And at the end of the day, it's spreading like cancer. And every region has at least a taste of what is happening now. While Mr. John was talking, he actually spoke about something that has been my position. And I think this is the first time I'm going to talk about that on the media. And I said there's need for the Igbo people to apologize to the northern people for the 1966 coup.
Sorry to cut you there. I think we should get to that.
No, maybe when I finish, then you understand where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Then also there is need for the northern Nigeria to apologize to the Igbo people for using food as a weapon during the war. Because these are things that both sides feel it's unforgivable. We did not do that. Our parents or grandparents did that. But it's still haunting us till today. So I think if the two parties can sit down and we do open apology to ourselves, that we've hurt ourselves in different ways, but time has passed. Let's move forward. I think it will go a long way in healing the country and providing some level of nationalism, because you cannot build a country where a part feels it does not belong to that country and a part feels it belongs to the country. So it's a lot to talk about, but I think holding on to this point will go a long way if our leaders, and apologically, you will see that when you are in government and playing politics, at the top, there is no difference. It's all the same thing at the top because it's about interest. And that is why today you see a Peter Obi having a running mate as a Konkoso. But if it comes down and you go to the social media, between we on the streets, it's a different ballgame. So we need to apologize sincerely to ourselves in order to have a headway.
Thank you so much for raising that. You know, when it comes to the Biafran War or the civil war in Nigeria, it's really a sensitive issue that we need to tread softly. Interestingly, we're working on 60th anniversary of the Biafran War, and what we outline is that both sides need to come to a table, revisit the past, apologize, and take appropriate steps to make sure that we reintegrate like we used to be. So, in a nutshell, it's like you're revisiting what we're trying to do and maybe in a different way, because I think both sides of the divide feel maybe slighted, feel betrayed, feel maybe let down and all of that. But at the same time, you've mentioned our great-grandparents and grandparents did what they did. We should not be paying for it. That means we should come to a middle ground and address that. So you've addressed insecurity issue in your response. Now let's talk the economic situation, even though we know that you can't remove insecurity from economic situation. So a lot and data, statistics shows that the insecurity in Nigeria is linked to economic situation, the difficulty people are in. And there is always the notion that our leaders intentionally put us where we are. Allegedly, please don't quote me. It's allegedly. So let's address the key economic indices that, as somebody in government, I'm sure that you get requests almost every day from different people, right? And that puts us in two different edges. For you, as a public office person, what you're supposed to do is to discharge your primary responsibilities, right? But there are burdens on you that you're not supposed to be taking care of. And we open doors for it. So would you say that our leaders are responsible for the poor economic situation we're in, and what role can we play to change the narrative?
Okay, thank you again. I advise the governor on climate change and economic, climate change, economics, and innovation. So, issue of the situation we are, it's not new. I've went through history and read books, and I've heard people complaining right from the 60s about how bad the economy was turning. And we were hoping that it would go for, it will be better, but unfortunately, it's becoming worse every day. And the worst of all is food. When food becomes a major challenge, every other thing becomes a challenge. If you're hungry, you can't think right. And I think it's one of the reasons why you hardly can find innovative and creative young people, because they are thinking of where their next meal will come from. So food becomes a weapon that is used against the masses. And this is where the leaders need to adjust. We have leaders that don't think about the system. Leaders that only think about themselves. And when we have such in a system like Nigeria, then you know we are built to be doomed. As somebody who is holding a public office, it's so difficult for me because what I receive as salary cannot take me home. And I have burden from friends, from relatives, from schoolmates, that they see you, that once you're in government, you have free money. And the reality now is not true. This free money is not there, and the irony of it is, sorry, The irony of it all is that people complain of public officials of stealing. Yet, people eulogize them, people praise them, and people ask them to give them money. If you don't want me to steal, why then are you queuing in front of my house and asking me things that you know are above my means? So the public officers are pushed by the people to steal, then the people will come back to complain that they are stealing.
Can't the public officers renege to not let themselves be pushed? Can they not? Can they not renege to not allow themselves to be pushed?
Then you will not be elected in the next elections.
Okay, so I think
Nigerians, I think we need to grow above where we are. People value people that come to share money to them, rice and some Indomie, than people that will go to build roads, schools, and hospitals. When you use the money to build this infrastructure, they don't see you as good enough. Even your relatives will go against you. But if you refuse to build those infrastructures and you share the money to them, they will say you are the best. And when the election comes, they will vote you. So the awareness, it's more than just saying this is what governance needs to do. We have a mindset problem. And this mindset is becoming worse because the younger ones are also seeing that as a model that they need to work with. Sharing of money in politics. And until we work on that, I don't think we're going to have a headway.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. You've got a point. Please go ahead with it.
I think I'd like to go back to what you said right at the very beginning as well. That I think you find that with any civil war, it never really ends. You know, we have it in America, we have it with post-Yugoslavia, in the Balkans, and it's very difficult to deal with those open wounds. It might not be you and I that did it at that particular time. A bit like a conversation about colonial times. I wasn't there, you know, but how do we deal with today? And as we've seen with South Africa, you can have a Truth and Reconciliation Council approach. Everybody speaks about what happens and you move on, and then it can still not necessarily work the best way that you want it to. So as a journalist and someone who works in the media, and I particularly want to say to the young people in the room that are here from the Kaduna State University, is what you need to be thinking about is words are much more powerful weapons than guns are. And you use the word apologise, you know, and that's tough for anybody. You know, between you and I, you know, we could apologise to each other and move on. Between groups of people who you're then claiming to represent as a leader, to apologise for something that's happened is actually quite difficult. And there's many cases of that around the world. From my perspective, I think it's about getting everybody who's got a seat at the table from an aggrieved party to sit there and turn around and say, let's not apologise, yeah? Let's just acknowledge our role at this particular moment. Yeah? And why that's important. The reason that's important is because on social media, when someone comes along and makes a claim about something, you can then counter that misinformation or disinformation, or maybe a factually accurate piece of information by turning around and saying, yes, it happened, that's a historical event. Today, we've acknowledged our role in that as a people, but what we're trying to do now is work for a Nigeria today, rather than one that's constantly tearing itself apart. There you go. See the words I've used then? Tearing itself apart. That's a headline, isn't it? Whereas if it's a case of we're trying to move Nigeria forward to actually realise its potential, that in 2030 it is the most populous nation in Africa. It's got oil, it's got minerals under the ground. Someone said to me the other day, the British would never have gone and given you independence if they'd known the raw earth minerals were under the ground, you know? So we need to get to the point where politicians understand that at all levels, acknowledging our role in things in the past just means that people can then move forward and then use that as a tool for countering these things online. And the final thing you mentioned about the economy, I think it's really important, particularly food, when someone can't think. I know in Britain we have breakfast clubs, They've specifically started breakfast clubs because they're saying when the rumbling in your belly is louder than what information you're trying to take in, your stomach will always win. So breakfast clubs suddenly became really important for children that weren't eating properly or at all at home. So the economy is an interesting one because if you look at the insurgency, I've done many conversations with people as the producer of our Sahel Watch programme. I've spoken to retired major generals, I've spoken to activists, I'm going to speak to a UN peace ambassador after this, Ambassador Ibrahim, who's sitting in the front there, about it's not just a military approach. Because of the complexity of the insurgency, you have to have that kind of non-kinetic approach, I think, which is community groups, NGOs, young people coming together, and we have to address the hard, cold facts, which are that maybe there's not the jobs that we'd like there to be. There's no way for young people to necessarily move ahead. They've all got a mass communications degree with no career prospects of working in the media. Why would becoming an insurgent or a bandit or a criminal or becoming an Islamic fundamentalist not be attractive to you as a way of looking after yourself if the system is not looking after you? Now we've got the interesting situation with the president saying there's going to be 4 more army divisions, whereas a young 18, 19, 20-year-old Nigerian boy or girl that maybe don't have any employment prospects can now join the military to defend a system that is actually not helping the insurgents, and they probably have more in line. That's probably quite controversial, but they have more in common with someone that they went to school with or who lives next door, who's then become a bandit or a criminal, than they do with someone that's at the top of the military or in politics. So I think it's a really interesting thing. Again, it's the elephant in the room. You know, insecurity underpins everything, but the economy, working with community groups, working with young people, particularly working with women and acknowledging the role from a cohesive perspective that tribal leaders have and traditional leaders from the past, long before colonial times when we were able to solve conflicts without going to war, need to all be at the table having this kind of conversation. Thank you for those questions.
Yeah, but very quickly, I want to agree with you on acknowledging the differences and the roles that
the wrongdoings,
you know, and that is one area that you have to give it up to the governor of Kaduna State, the present governor, Malam Obasani, whom I work for, because he has actually adopted the non-kinetic, you know, approach. And today, before now, there is a divide along the river Kaduna between the southern Nigeria Kaduna and northern Nigeria Kaduna. But the coming of the governor has actually breached that, and there is this trust. There's this feelings of trust that exists already. And I think this formula was gotten from Rwanda. If South Africa and other places had failed as a result of civil war, the Rwanda formula or model is a global standard model that needs to be adopted by Nigeria and any other country that has been bedeviled by civil war. Today, in 1994, we know the bad, dark days of Rwanda, but in 2026, we know that every African wants to visit Rwanda. And it was a simple thing that there is no difference between the Hutu and the Tutsis. We are all Rwandans. So if we can actually adopt that there is no Yoruba or Hausa or Igbo or Igala or Tiba or whatsoever, we are all Nigerians, then we can have a headway. But if we identify ourselves by our nationalities, then there is still a long way for us to go to.
Thank you,
and
Mr. Yusuf.
Finally, if we understand the potential of Nigeria when we are united and the challenges we will face when we are divided, I think Nigeria is one of the greatest countries in the world. I can tell you this. I had had these debates with Germans while I was in Germany and some other guys around there, and they saw this because population is power. Resources that we have, you can hardly have any other country on the earth that have those resources because we have them in abundance. But unfortunately, the mindset is poisoned, and this mindset needs to be worked on. And until we do that, we will remain the people we are.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yusuf. I think there are key takeaways from what you've said, and Mr. John as well. Let's not dwell too much on the issues now, and let's be more solutions-driven. Mr. Yusuf mentioned the Rwandan genocide, which started from a radio propaganda, if I remember. And it was somewhat one ethnicity calling another ethnicity maybe cockroach or something like that. And it took hundreds of thousands of lives, right? The peculiarity is there, but Nigeria, just officially, there are over 277 languages, if I'm correct. So where do we reconcile all of that from? Maybe Rwanda is a more not population dense country like Nigeria, over 230 million people unofficially. So what can we do to change the narrative? You said mindset. Let's take the mic to Comrade Zahareddin. I'm sure that you've got something to say about this. Governance and mindset is the key things that we've learned from this conversation from amongst us. So if there is something we need to do to reconcile governance, mindset shift, or paradigm shift, what should we be doing? Start from maybe yourself as a person, what you would implement in your family, starting from your family, and then maybe people around you, your neighbors, to make things different for us. Yes, thank you.
Mr. John, Ajialima, good morning. My fellow compatriots. You see, when you are talking of governance in Nigeria, most of us get it very, very wrong and give it a different interpretation. And this has to do with our upbringing and the way our society is being marginalized in form of having a proper knowledge and education of what governance is all about. It has been in our minds that most of our communities believes that it is only government that rules or that give or formulate formulas and policies for the people. No, it is the work of each and every citizen in Nigeria to participate in advising and giving more cooperation to the government. That is when the government and the governance is going to be solid and consolidated. If there is not this understanding of what even governance is all about, I don't think there is going to be a very good outcome or development in our kind of situations here. So we have not been given this proper understanding by our previous leaders, because I can attribute this issue of having little knowledge about governance to our leaders, our previous leaders, because we have been imposed with so many artificial lections of poverty per se. That lections of poverty, that is what is now giving us the poor performance in knowing what government is all about. Therefore, if really we are going to have this kind of fora, especially nowadays that the advent of social media has gone very, very far in our communities, I think with this kind of forums, we are going to understand what governance is all about, and people are going to participate fully in making sure they guide and cooperate with the government so that there's going to be a standard in governance and other policies making.
Thank you. A comrade is always a comrade. I know in the struggle of card pulling, you're always at the forefront saying things like this. So you've mentioned something important. It's still around mindset and teaching our people. I believe that there are people in the education sector in this room, like Professor Ayodele and Dr. Jamila Dahiru in the room, to talk to us about changing mindset. If we were to teach our people, where should we start from? Before I go to Dr. Jamila, let's go to Professor Ayodele, the former Dean of the Faculty of Mass Communication and Media Studies from KASU, yeah? So please take the mic there. Let's speak to Prof. Thank you.
Thank
Prof,
you very much.
For clarity, please, let's ask you to please stand so we can see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the thought-provoking insight. I think we should look at this point, then I'll make a reference to what happened to me when I traveled to Moscow. I think a time has come for us to begin to change our mindset concerning governance in Nigeria. I think the healing process is gradual, but I think we need to forgive ourselves and then move forward. Because if we keep looking at the past, the crisis of the past, we will not make progress. I think the healing process is on. Let's just move forward and then we can make progress as a country. Now, talking about mindset, in the last 3 years, I was giving this example yesterday. In the last 3 years, I've been traveling to Moscow every year. I was in Moscow this year, April, and I'll be going back again in November by God's grace. But something unique struck my mind concerning the mindset of the Russians and the love they have for their country. The first time I traveled to Moscow, that was about 3 years ago, I checked into the hotel and I wanted to watch a program on the television. I didn't see any English program. It was all the Moscow thing. And I was
Russian.
Yes, Russian thing. I was very, very frustrated. So as I went for a conference and I said something. I said, why do you speak more of a Russian language and we don't know anything? I say, because I noticed that Russian is a very nice place, but you guys have not sold yourself out because you keep speaking Russian language. They just laughed at me. But I came back to the country. I wasn't fulfilled. I went back for the second time. I saw the same thing. But when I went again this year, my mindset changed. My perspective about them changed. What are they doing? They try to portray their country in a good light. They have this local content of a thing, the self-belief they have as a country. Now, when I went back this year, my mindset changed. From the airport, the man that picked us from the airport to the hotel, I've not met him before. He's also a cab driver, and he kept telling me many things about his country, about how their governments have helped them to shape their country, and they believe so much in their country. And I think that is where we should go as a country. We should believe in our country, Nigeria. My brother says something. If you go outside this country, you know the potential Nigeria has, you'll be shocked. They know more about us than we know about ourselves. I think the time has come for us as Nigerians to speak well of our country and believe in our country. Because we have our own challenges, yes. Obviously. They too have. You said something about the Americans. If you go to America, you have the worst of ghettos. But the Americans never do anything to show the other side.
CNN doesn't show us
that. They don't do. So I think the time has come for us to believe in our country and speak well of our country and do less of condemnation.
Thank you, Prof. Talk about speaking well of our countries or being patriotic. Do you think Nigerians are given enough to be patriotic? Because these countries that we're looking at as models actually are putting the welfare and priority of their citizens top notch. So if they're doing that right, and maybe Nigerians don't feel like they're getting all they need to get from the country, do you think we can be patriotic?
You will agree with me that in the last few years, our approach towards asking government to give us, make themselves accountable has changed. Seriously changed. Now, if you look at what's happening in the Osun State, it's a mind pointer that people know what they want and they go for what they want. So things are really changing, and you must agree with me. If you look at it, maybe in the last 5 years, it may not be the same thing. But I think things are changing in Nigeria. Nigerians are becoming more and more conscientized on the right thing and the demand for the right thing.
Thank you, Prof. And let's go to Dr. Jamila. She's in the classroom. Doctor is also in the classroom, but Doctor is trying to tell me I'm a teacher in the journalism field or in the media space. And the interesting thing is Dr. Jamila is also lecturing at, I think, University of Abuja, the Department of Development Communication, I suppose, yeah. Which we are in serious crisis in the Northeast, right? So we need development communication. So, Doctor, you're in the classroom, mindset shift is very key for us to move away from where we are, whether we reconcile or we decide to come together, unite against the people that are putting us down, whether they are in government or not. What can we do in terms of education to change mindset? I know that the last time I see any update on the national policy on education is long ago. And we can't keep teaching old stuff and want things to change. So what can we do in terms of education?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I came in to just observe and learn. But thank God that
Sorry to cut you. Dr. Jamila is a teacher.
Yeah.
She's a former communication commissioner of education in Bauchi State.
Yes.
So I'm proud of women that are doing a lot of things. So
thank you,
take your
Halima.
flowers.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Nice to have you here. And honestly, I'm always interested in this kind of conversations because it matters a lot. For Kaduna, it has always been open. We've had conversations around governance, open governance, whatever you want to put it, and then involving both government and citizens. In other places where I came from, the far north, northeast to be precise, you hardly get this kind of platform. So I want to say a big thank you to S24 for bringing this very platform to the very people that understand what that platform means, and I hope that we can scale up to places like mine. Yeah, so thank you very much. And then coming from academia, I think you mentioned, it has been a very long time that, if I would put it this way, Nigeria actually became very silent with promotion of, is it patriotism you want to put it, or love for the country, whatever word that speaks easier to people. There was a time that we all had history as a subject back in probably primary to secondary school. And then we had a government that said we do not need this as a subject. So we merged, and then it became something like national, whatever, I don't know, about 3 subjects lumped into one. Civic education. And that is even at senior secondary level. So you ask a small child, what is Nigeria? Of course, they will sing the national anthem. They will tell you some states and capital, But then the values for Nigeria, the culture, the love. I was watching a reel day before yesterday, and there's this cripple in India. He just on his radio, and the national anthem of India started, and he had to stand up with his crutches and just to salute to respect that national anthem. What about Nigeria? Today we are having a debate over whether we like the old national anthem or the new national anthem. People are still at dilemma of what Nigeria is about. And some of the platforms we have are privileged platforms, people like you and me. But then I remember the very village people in Rahama, for instance, my father's village. What do they know about Nigeria? How do you instill love for Nigeria for them? It's through that primary education before they even graduate to secondary education, because that self-realization of what Nigeria is and we are Nigerians should come first. Yes, at the national level, you have programs like the Nigeria Reputation Group, etc., coming up to kind of advance what Nigeria is, love for Nigeria, the good part of Nigeria, talking about reputation and the mindset change, starting from home. Because we have to believe that Nigeria is good, is this and that, before we even start showing out there. When you look at the youth population again, the trust in public institutions is declining. I always mention that. Many researchers have proved that even our young people do not trust the governance. The Honorable here mentioned something, that even the young people that are aspiring to be in positions are not doing so they impact on their community. They are thinking because they want to also be having...
Fill their pockets.
Very good.
Okay.
So I think that should be part and parcel of the curriculums we are designing, but in the teaching that we are probably advancing, not only in the educational institutions, but across all levels, be it the traditional institution. We need to, I really like the point when you mentioned I think, is it John, that we need to also go back to the institutions that used to bring us together. The leaders, such as the tribal leaders, the religious leaders, etc. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria might not be the same with other countries. So we should imbibe with our own uniqueness. Look at what we have as our own uniqueness, and that uniqueness, you should maximize it. At the university level, we are trying as much as possible to push the narrative that, yeah, we have the youth that have the potential, they are talented. Government or systems must open up spaces for them, give opportunities, because whether we like it or not, opportunities will not just translate to impact. You have to make way for them. So, of course, a lot of things need to be done. At our own level, individual level, there's this self-realization before the mindset will even... You cannot give out from a vacuum, right?
An empty cup.
You cannot give from an empty cup. So what do you believe for Nigeria, or as a Nigerian, or for Nigeria?
Thank you.
And then please, you have to advocate further by trying to see that you also inculcate that while exercising your right as
a citizen.
Yes, as a citizen of
Thank
Nigeria.
you, Dr.
Thank
Jamila.
you.
In a nutshell, is to get like an update with maybe our national policy on education, curriculum, introduce all these things that used to remind us of Nigeria. Talk about knowing Nigeria. I think we should go to the students now. Students, are you ready? Yes, Mr. John, make your points.
Yeah, okay.
Any student ready? Tell us what you know about Nigeria once.
Yeah.
No problem. Please let Mr. John make a point, then
I
we get
just want to kind of wrap the conversation together, if I can. I think education is the key. Coming from the UK, we have our colonial history. You know, we've had World War I in Europe, predominantly. We've had World War II. I read something, saw something the other day that said Britain was the only country in World War II that went to war to defend another country. Poland at the start. Everyone else got into the war when they were attacked. And then 70 years later, we vote for Brexit to actually detach ourselves from the European Union. That is 100%, and I'm going to say it on camera, linked to the fact that in school you do not learn about World War II. How can you convince people, a society, to see Europe as a bad thing when we're obviously European? We see that English Channel as us being better than everybody else. So you fall into that far-right colonial mindset of World War II, Winston Churchill, Battle of Britain, we're better than everybody else. It's easy to feed that when it looks like Europe's doing terrible things to us, whereas in fact, it's actually something that we should be part of. It's an economic bloc. It's a European Union of nations, a bit like if there was a Pan-African European, like the African Union or the United States of America. We need to be thinking about how important education is, because if you do not educate your child in school, and if you do not educate your child as a parent, and remember, parents only parent the way that they were parented themselves. So if you had no history in school, what will happen is something will come along which will give them all the information they need to make a judgment about that situation, the internet. Okay, so unless we address those things, and I want to just touch on your Moscow visit, it's really interesting because obviously I've got a lot of Ukrainian friends that are now in the UK because of the Russian-Ukrainian war, but you have to get beyond the rhetoric to understand it's another long-running conflict that's been there over centuries that is not easy to settle around a table. It will eventually, yeah, but it will settle what it is today. It won't settle differences that can stop it from flaring up again. And the Russians are very good at telling their people how good they are, okay? And that's, as you said, what Nigeria needs. Whereas CNN and the American media is about telling everybody else in the world how strong they are. And I read something the other day about, is the American military really as strong as it claims to be? When it seems to fray around the edges and never really seem to get a grip of certain conflicts, is the media there to reinforce how strong it is to keep people away, rather than actually educating its people about how it is? So I think that, again, the role of the media, the words that we use, and I think education, if it's lacking, someone will come along and fill that knowledge gap. Now, with the senator, in the interview, he said that his knowledge gap about the way the military was operating was to read pamphlets and books that were coming from Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. Now, if we don't do that in schools or around dinner tables, the internet will do it, and TikTok will tell people that other ways are better than what they're living. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. John. Let's go to the audience again. I believe that you've got something to say, but just to direct to the last point on, do we know Nigeria? So I'd like for you to start your point from, do you know Nigeria? What do you know about Nigeria? I don't know the new national anthem. I can't sing it from the beginning to the end because I prefer the old anthem. That's my preference, right? So what do you know about Nigeria? The mic is here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. My name is Sakina Yusuf. I'm new in the media. I just started working, even though it's been long that I've been in school. So what I want to add actually is I think there should be platforms that would be grooming the youth on leadership, because we will vote people that we think have history about being sorry.
No worries, take your time.
Yeah, so people with integrity, people known to be very honest, but when they get into office, we see different things and they could not deliver. So I think there should be policies, maybe a school, maybe, I don't know what to call it.
Okay.
But there should be a structured platform that would guide someone that is going into any office.
Yeah, so
or maybe somebody should not just come out and ask you to just vote for him because he can afford this campaign and
the
everything.
tickets and everything.
Yes, why not vote someone that maybe has been a councillor, then has been a chairman, and people have already seen maybe he has done something, and then someday he has been a governor. There should be, history of someone doing very good in governance.
So can I just interrupt you for a second? Yeah, because what I want to do is I want to just something that just popped into my head. We were talking about education. Now you have something quite unique in this country that we don't have in the UK anymore, which is your service, your youth service, your national service that you do for a year. And actually, I saw me and Miss Khadija were having a conversation yesterday. Two young people walking past in like lime green uniforms, and I said, "Oh, are they corpers? Is it corpers? Is that what you call it?
Yes.
Your core members?"
Yeah.
And again, we're missing sometimes. We look for new solutions. In fact, if we've already got a national youth service, how are we looking to update that so that if the gap is missing from education because schools aren't able to do it, is your opportunity to go there? Because even if it then said to you, this is what misinformation and disinformation is on social media, how can we think about what is leadership, what is accountability? You and I could be standing there leading a team each. We've got 5 barrels, 2 planks, 3 ropes. We've got a 10-foot gap full of shark-infested custard, and one of us has to show leadership to get to the other side. Where does that disappear when suddenly it comes into the political arena? At least we'd have young people that were equipped to ask, why are you doing that? I would have done it this way, and hopefully they will rise up and turn around and say, we need to be taking some ownership. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sakina, right?
Yes.
If I'm correct?
Yes.
There are leadership training pipelines. One of them that I know people doing well is Sir Kashim Ibrahim Fellow, that the former governor of Kaduna State, Amal Nasser El-Rufai, started. Yes, there is one on the national level, LMI. It's in the National Assembly. I know there is that. And there are other micro leadership pipelines like that that are working within Nigeria. Outside Nigeria, there are fellowships across board that Nigerians are able to participate, like the Mandela Washington Fellowship and other ones. Yes. So there are a lot for us. All of these things are going. Maybe we're not searching the right or not using it the right way, but there are a lot. So what do you know about Nigeria, if you answer?
Well, as a millennial, even though all I can say is, yes, I see Nigeria as a country with great potential, and I think we should do better. And I think there are systems that we should sit on the table and engage with the grassroots. There should be platforms like this where people will be able to sit and talk about the issues they think should be discussed and, unsolved. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So in the audience again, I'm afraid due to time, we might take the street polls that we got. Take a quick break. Yes, please. Pass the mic there. Thank you. Mr. Jibrin, it's on.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. John. Alima, thank you for putting such a laudable initiative. Yes, do I know Nigeria? Yes, Nigeria got independence 1960, Republic 63, we have 36 states, we have 774 local government. But the key question now is, what happens when your history is not being told by you? You go through like 5 different libraries, you have 5 different textbooks who are telling a story about a particular state or a region with different narration. So there is no harmonization. So people end up perceiving information that are irrelevant or information that are inaccurate. Now to digress a bit, like I've heard from the few speakers, Yusuf Amoki and the Prof, we have to move from an era to a solution-driven society. Like if I to ask myself, what have I done that will contribute positively to the development of Nigeria? So we created a platform called Policy Lab. What do we do? Of course, we tend to bring people to discuss. Like what Halima just said now, she can't really remember the last time she had national policy on education, blah, blah, blah. You have different states that have different educational law, which for us to get it right, either as a region, either as a state, either as a nation, we need to have a comprehensive, or rather, we need to have, I don't know how to put it, there should be a uniformity in the things we do. Because a state A cannot be operating on primary 1 to 6 scale, while other states are advancing on the scale of from 1 to 9. That lack of that unification form. And for us, coming from the private sector, of course, we try as much as possible to see how we can bring people together to discuss on issues that, by providing sustainable solutions that could, of course, set the ball rolling by bringing the media, the intellectual, the people from the academia to see how we can, of course, design a template that will accommodate people from diverse.
Okay, can I give you an example there? Yes. Yeah, well done. That's very good. Yeah, that's a very important point. I think I run something called a Parallel Lives Network. So I've got an archive in my house of 120 countries across, I don't like using this term, the Global South. But until there's an alternative, I'll use the Global South. People will understand. And in that archive, I collect maps, flags, newspapers, 5 printed from one day when I've visited Nigeria and India, places like that. And lots of information I can use for my independent museum around conflict memory to put on exhibits for school children that visit. I do pop-ups in shops, etc. And I always buy multiple travel guides. And people always say to me, why have you got 4 or 5 travel guides over the last 20, 30 years of a country? Because it's not about the hotels and the restaurants, anything like that, or the country, or where you can visit. It's the history. Because what happens is, in 1992, if you've got a travel guide on that country, that's fixed. That's the view of itself in 1992. In 2002, you go back and compare it, it's slightly changed. Someone's edited it. A bit like, being able to go on the internet and sort of change things. But you've got the evidence in the book that what's changed from how we viewed ourselves here to how we view ourselves now. Then that might be a change in politics, that might be a change in military, there's multiple reasons, but until we start thinking about what are all the different versions of ourselves, on the table, then all of us are all interpreting those versions from a different view. Then you think about the language you use. Really, that's education is still the only way, what the prof teaches, for example, about, mass communications and how you use the media. If we don't equip young people with the skills to be able to have access to the information, now whether that's libraries or whether that's national archives. I mean, we visited the National Archive of the Library, National Library of Nigeria archive. Fantastic. But you know, it was like stepping into an Indiana Jones movie. It wasn't accessible. You know, I was waiting to be chased out after I'd managed to get in. But all of this stuff that had not been seen and not been opened, particularly for our research for the Biafran crisis, there was something from President Gowon from 1972 about reconciliation. No one had ever opened that book. It then makes you think, well, how many of these are there and were they ever actually used to implement? That's the story we talk about Biafra, not the headline stuff. What came after, what didn't necessarily work with reunification. If there was the president saying, we're not going to take any retaliation, we're going to incorporate people. What happened? There was an opportunity to reset. We just need to be revisiting these things all the time.
Yes,
thank you. Mr. Sorry, a very quick one. Talking about governance, I don't know. We need to do a lot as people when demanding for accountability. But the mindset, the society influence, we tend to be scared to ask for accountability because we're afraid people will laugh, people will say we don't belong here, we don't subscribe here. But did we even know that as citizens we have that right, like Freedom of Information Act, you can ask for information and it's mandated for you to be given that information. Now going back to ICPC, as an individual who belongs to definitely one constituency, either national or state, you have that right to go in there to make an inquiry of what specific national project is being allocated to your own constituency. Through that medium, you can as well ask your representatives. But that mindset of I'm scared the society will laugh, we tend not to ask for accountability. So we need to do more, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think on that note, it's not just about being scared of what people will say. It's about being scared of what comes to you after. Are you going to be attacked? Are you going to disappear because you ask for information? As a journalist, I attempted doing a report on Kaduna-Abuja road that is taking forever to get completed. And by the time I met my supervisor to say, well, these are the people I'm trying to approach, she said, excuse me, if you want to die, because the who that is who would not let you do that report. And that's the big problem. So you would understand with people when they fear for their life. We've touched based on insecurity, mindset shift, education, etc. There is food insecurity in Nigeria, right? And there is an expert in the room to talk to us on ways to make the problem of food insecurity maybe a little bit better if we can eradicate it completely. We've got in our midst the General Manager, Kaduna Agricultural Development Agency, Malam Muhammad Really. I don't know if that's correct. Yes, so thank you. Tell us about what you're doing in Kaduna. As the election is approaching, key issues on street polls that we got is people saying food. Food is expensive. And we know that Northern Nigeria is an agrarian society. We produce food before now. Unfortunately, insecurity is making our farmers not be able to go to farm, and we're in a dilemma. So what are you doing in your agency, and what do you think Nigerians need to do, or people in Kaduna need to do to support you to maybe get food security at this material time? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, first I want to commend the organizers. I think I got the invitation yesterday night, but it's an important session because it deals with governance, and we as young people that opportunity to participate in policy implementation, and most importantly, implementing government programs needed to participate in this kind of fora, just to be able to share our experiences towards changing the mindset, because I understand that that's where the real problem of Nigeria's society or state is all about. First, I want to, before getting into the field where I am actually handling or, fronting in Kaduna now, this whole thing goes back to orientation. Our society as of today is well disoriented in many segments. It is difficult to find a typical Nigeria that will be positive over a period of 5 minutes about Nigeria. So the hope has been dashed out, and people sees problems and hears problems continuously over time. And that has already placed negativities at the forefront of our discussions constantly. The problem is this, the problem is that. Now, government pays a lot of attention in reparations instead of dealing with the problem in another direction. I will take, for instance, how should we change the view? Because that's one of the problems we are facing in agriculture as well. Now, people are culturally raised to believe that agriculture is subsistence and it's meant to produce what you can eat, what you can pay for health bills, you know. Don't even bother sending your child to school. Probably get married after the harvest and then wait after the wet season until the next wet season. Not minding the fact that to alleviate poverty and ensure livelihood stability, you need all year-round farming activity. So we must need to pay attention to explore the opportunities in the dry season farming activities. And that would have smoothed a lot of things. Now, because in Kaduna State, 70% of our workforce are farmers, the agricultural sector hired or provide jobs for substantial population of Kaduna State. We're about 12 million, if not close, of people here. So, and the level of, birth rate is largely from the rural communities in Kaduna State. I will take Kaduna State as a case study. We have like 4 cosmopolitan local government in Kaduna State: Chikuni, Igabi, Kaduna North, Kaduna South, maybe to some extent Zaria and Kapancha. But the rest of them, about 18 of them or 17 as the case may be, are rural communities. And these are where we have a population surge continuously. And this is where you expected food to be produced, because that's where the fertile land and arable lands are situated. But the problem is that farmers are culturally raised with the mindset of agriculture, quote unquote, agriculture. Now, on agriculture, you are only talking about a short-term food security. That the food you eat from this season to the next season, and that's it. So if the weather and due to climatic factors are in place and you can no longer produce substantial harvest by the next season, then you suddenly enter into shock. And of course, we have a very lukewarm, food reserves agency that are not actually buffer stocking our produce so that we can respond to food insecurity when the shock happens. So what is the problem? How can we change the mindset of our people to begin to think agribusiness? Because that is where you commercialize the sector, and that's what guarantees food security, and that's what prevents importation. And for every import is a job lost, and for every job lost is idleness, and for every idle person is a crime opportunity and tendencies that surround him over a period of 24 hours in a day. So that is the major part of the problem we are thinking. Now, how do we resolve this problem? My agency is responsible for implementing agri-extension and advisory services. Our job is to educate farmers on new modern innovative agri-practices, on good agronomic styles that boost productivity and improve yield. And ultimately that translates into livelihood enhancement, poverty alleviation, and even changing the mindset. Now, we are actively doing that, but the number is so small. And government, as of today, pays attention to invest 10 billion, 20 billion in agro-input supplies. But farmer education, that is critical, because irrespective of the input you supply to farmers, irrespective of the product, good varieties you introduce, as long as the knowledge is not duly shared, the impact expected will be minimal. So what are we doing in Kaduna State? What Governor Obasani is doing, because of the long-standing isolation or investment into the agricultural sector, the problem has been just too much. So we had to now begin to take steps to quickly intervene. First, how do we subsidize inputs so farmers can get access to quality input varieties and even extension advisory services. To do that, government needs to procure certain fertilizers, hybrid seed varieties, and so on and so forth, agrochemicals and what have you. Now, this is a first step, but it's not the solution to food insecurity in Nigeria. We cannot give as much people as possible.
Yes.
So we can only give 100,000, 200,000. And what is the volume size of our farmers in Kaduna? 2 million farmers we are dealing with. So we can only give smallholder farmers. Now, the government is doing that as an emergency response to provide primary production capital financing. So farmer that plants 1 hectare of land with organic manure, some of them will even put the sorghum or maize and refuse to fertilize it, or what have you and what have not, and end up do not having better yield. So we are now providing subsidies or access to fertilizer, access to agrochemicals, so that they can gain primary capital to finance production, expecting that if you are given 2, 3, or 5 bags of fertilizer this year to plant 1 acre, by next year, the profit realized would have enabled you to double capacity by moving into 2 hectare, 3 hectare. Now that is the expectation, but it's not the real solution to the problem. The real solution to the problem is getting farmers to begin to move, shift that, look, this agriculture is no longer agriculture. It should be think and thoughtful in a way that it's an agribusiness. Now, white-collar job is limited. Young people cannot get jobs in government. Companies need to, search so that people can be recruited in many places and what have you. Now, how do we fix that? Up to this very moment that I speak to you, a lot of people believe that they finish university, they do their CV, prefer a very handsome, very interesting CV, all thanks to the AI, but you put them in an interview session, they cannot even defend what they have written.
We can attest
So
to
now,
that.
because of that problem, sorry, I will take a little more time because we are discussing governance, and as a young person, I think I gain a lot of experience to share how we can resolve these issues.
We'll get back to you so
okay.
that we can...
So let me land on this point, please.
Yeah.
So this issue of agriculture, most of our graduates are refusing to pay attention to own a farm and produce. And I can tell you that if you invest 700,000 naira to a hectare of land, by 6 months max, you are already 4 million naira to 5 million naira owner. And then you don't have to worry about people looking at when you come to work, reports, how you get to work, So the mindset needs to be changed,
GM would show us the way.
Okay.
600,000 to 4 million in 6 months.
Exactly.
Please show us the way. We'll get back
Definitely.
to you. Again, thank you so much for that insight. And we're looking for solutions, of course. We don't want to dwell on problems. There is food insecurity. There is security problem and all of those. But we shouldn't dwell on the insecurity. So we would like for you to tell us practical steps later for us to... I want to invest 600K and get 4 million naira. So... we'll get to the question time, please. Let's address some of the key elephants in the room before we get back to... I believe that we can even do a special session with the GM to tell us on the way that we can invest. I like money. Money makes the world go round, so let's look for money in a legitimate way. Thank you. And while we're on, we ask what Nigerians know, and Malan Jibrin actually said something important about Nigeria. So I was expecting that the Gen Zs would tell us about Nigeria. It seems we don't know anything about Nigeria. While at it, Faisal Nasser JR, the CEO of Raven Media RS. Okay, the Gen Z want to talk before Faisal Nasser speak. She's into security communication, and she'll be able to tell us, because we've touched base on insecurity, security, and solution. So she'll be able to tell us the ways that they make impacts in storytelling around security so that we can learn. So Gen Z, where is that Gen Z? Okay. Thank you. Keep it short, please. We're running out of time. The mic is not working.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm glad to be part of you guys. As a young person in Nigeria, you're asked if, of course, we know our country. Of course we do. Dilito. And yeah, I think I know much about Nigeria during my first year at college. We took a course which is Nigerian People and Culture. That was where I got to know more about my country. And why wait until tertiary institution? I think with the people we have, you guys can take it back to primary, section. I think that's.
So what do you know about Nigeria? Tell us.
It's interesting. I think I know that Nigeria is incredibly diverse. The culture, the languages, and everything.
Okay, thank you. Faiza, we're coming to you as an expert in the development and also security communication. We've spoken about security just in a nutshell. In what ways do you tell your impact stories to be incident to impact in journalism for people to benefit from, not just reporting the situation, but what goes after reporting?
Okay, well, this is more like an attack. I didn't come here to speak, but you guys are putting me in a spotlight. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Faiza Nasir. I am one rebellious human being who chooses to pursue story around security. The security sector is very complex, as you all know. A lot of the information that comes from there, it's very curated in such a way that it doesn't offend or give too much of information that should not go out. And for my own consultancy activities around security issues, it's basically to tell the human angle stories. Of course, the people who keeps us safe every single day. And the reason why you and I are here today, we're able to sit comfortably, is because some people have decided to give up their rights and everything to protect us. So that is the aspect I talk about. I bring out their story. I speak with them, visit their locations, understand what makes them human first, because these are people's husband, brothers, uncles, and all that, sons. And their families love them, of course, but they chose this profession because they're passionate about it. But most importantly, passionate about the country that they serve. And we as citizens, we don't really see that. We just see certain individuals wearing camouflage and very well decorated, and we think it comes easy, but it doesn't really. A lot is being given out. So yeah, that is the part that I get to breach between them and the general populace, to bring their stories out there for you to understand what makes them human.
Thank you so much. There is Eunice in the room. Before we get to Eunice, Uncle Jaff, the sometimes I like to do Ngosa, so that we want you to speak to the kind of issues you're concerned about as a Nigerian in relation to what we've been discussing so far and this morning. It's already afternoon now. We've got less minutes to conclude, get more questions, and then be able to call it a wrap. There would be other editions, and I believe we can always participate. The conversation doesn't stop in this room. It continues. So, Mr. Jaff, okay, let me not call you by nickname. Mr. Jaffaru, please.
And for those of you that don't know, if you follow him on Facebook, he's always got something to say. So this should be quite good.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. John, or good afternoon. Good afternoon, Halima. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I was attacked also by Auntie Halima. I wanted not to say anything sincerely, but I just want to talk about corruption from all ramification. You see, any government that is not able to fight corruption, I don't think that government is serious. Sometimes if I write on Facebook, I used to be afraid because you've seen something that is affecting you directly, something true, but you are afraid to talk about it. And then our youth are also, gonna like push you, but at the end of the day, they will back out. they will back out. And you'll be afraid of talking about governance, because you don't know what will happen at the end of the day. We have friends that are no longer with us. Some we would love to see them. Some of our mentors, we don't have access to them due to, what we talk on real and social media. So sometimes we are afraid of, saying the truth because, of what is, really surrounded by, our environment or our society. If you want to talk about insecurity, that is what, it's the area where it's making me, or making me to have a sleepless night. And it's the area that I also want to talk about every day, but I'm afraid. And I know I'm not the only one being afraid, to talk about it, because we all know what is going on in our society. We all know the solution, but are our government ready to provide that solution to us?
It's a conversation we should always continue. Don't be afraid, but be afraid at the same time, because if you disappear, we'll be in very serious distress.
So I think maybe as time goes on, you should also create more, a platform like this, so that we can be able to speak our ideas and our minds, so that at least, the government will know that this is what we have been afraid of. This is what we have, to talk about, and this is
our fears.
Yes, our fears. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we'll go back to the people that are experienced. There is experience and there is experience. There are people that go through the ranks to get the experience, and there are people that maybe AI, or is it actual or artificial intelligence? So in S24, we believe more in actual intelligence than artificial intelligence. Not like we don't use AI, but actual intelligence is the lead before artificial intelligence. So if you've got questions in the audience, please, you can raise them. There is a sticky note or post-it that you can use to write the question, or if you want to speak, it's also fine. We'll do the last round, I beg your pardon, with the expert in the room before we call it a wrap. We're supposed to go on at least 3 breaks, but the conversation is so interesting that there is no break. So we would start with, please, let's give this person a chance. This young man came all the way from Yobe to attend Kaduna International Film Festival. But I don't know your name, I'm so sorry. So please, you can pass the mic. I believe you come from the Northeast, as my sister Jamila and all that, and you can resonate with most of the key points raised in terms of insecurity, corruption, agriculture, food insecurity, and all, agriculture and agribusiness. So we want to do agribusiness, not agriculture. So please, is there any input from your end? Please, the mic close to you. It's like the mic is off. Can you check?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Sulaiman Isa, a peace ambassador. So I'm from Yobe State, Northeast. So the problem that we had in Yobe, or I would say Northeast, is insecurity. So it's insecurity that set us back during Boko Haram. Boko Haram incident started in 2011. No.
Before 2011.
No. Boko Haram emerged in 2002.
The national prominence was from 2011. Of course we know, because I remembered I read a piece that said this whole insecurity thing is part of us all along. It wasn't just this magnitude, and because there is no technology and internet, you're not aware of it. I remember someone telling me, a lecturer telling me that as far back as 1972, there was cattle rustling incidents that left people dead. So it's like an age-long thing, but it's more prominent now because there is tools for us to know what is going on. So yes, I agree with you. 2002, fine, but
Boko Haram is in 2002, March. So under the leadership of radical person called Muhammad Yusuf, So Muhammad Yusuf was captured in 2009. He died in custody of police. They killed him. Later on, Abubakar Shekau took over. Abubakar Shekau took over and then start bombing, killing, adoption of
people.
Youth.
So let's put it because of time. You're a peace advocate, you mentioned. So what do you do to mediate, or what do you do to change the narrative in your society?
Peace awareness. We give awareness to the youth. They should not engage in violence. They should always join hands with us for advocacy so that we should live in peace. So our community needs youth that are capable of changing the government so we get a better place to live, because without peace, there will not be progress, there will not be development, there will not be
Thank you. We totally understand. Sometimes finding words can be difficult. Thank you.
Okay.
I think we'll just take, thank you so much.
Okay.
We'll just take a few round of questions and go back to the experts to give their final thoughts, so that we can call it a wrap. It's almost time for masjid, and we know that people will go pray.
Yes.
So questions, please, questions, if you've got questions. There is post-its. Okay. Okay, let's start with you since the mic is close to you.
All right.
Very brief, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me another opportunity. I want to talk to Malam. You have to remember.
Muhammad, really?
Malam Muhammad. We are talking about agriculture. So I think since last year, I have been engaging with so many local farmers. And most of them, or almost all of them, have told me personally that they are never going into agriculture again. They are never going to engage in farming again because of the insecurity, one. Secondly, and it's because of the high price of the fertilizer. So I know there have been policies upon policies, but I don't know whether you've been implementing them. But what are you doing about subsidizing these fertilizers so that local farmers will be able to farm, right? And I think we should also have local fertilizers. I don't know how to do it, but I think there should be industries that produce this local fertilizers in a very subsidized prices so that our local farmers can be able to buy them and farm.
Thank you, Sakina. Please pass the mic to Malam Muhammad, really. Please keep the questions very short. We've run out of time, so we can take as much as possible and call it a wrap.
Okay, thank you very much. Though I missed your name. What I want us to know is that, Sakina, what I want to tell us in this room today is that farmers do not require subsidies. No local farmer needs to be, to be spoon-fed. They want to stand on their feet. But what they wanted from government is regulation and a platform. Now that regulation entails that how do we stop importation squarely? How do we force the country to produce what it consumes and the leftovers be exported to make more money, more dollars, so we can even put our foreign reserves higher? The issue of fertilizer, yes, last year, a lot of farmers will tell you they will not go back to farms. But again, this is to be credited to the import issues, high cost of the input, which is the fertilizer in particular components. Now, the reason why we have that is that, again, the media has played a pivotal role in forcing government to open borders for import on commodities.
The media?
The media. Okay. I will blame the media here. Now, I will take Kaduna as a case study. We have 4 cosmopolitan local governments that are very shouty and noisy, respectfully, actually. Now, people claimed in 2022 towards the end of 2023, 2023 towards the middle of 2024 that there is hunger in the land. There was never hunger in Nigeria. Now, I will argue with this day in, day out.
What are the indices that there is?
Because what we faced was high price of the commodities. Now, that means money to the farmers. Do you understand the issue here? Farmers are selling maize, probably 100 kg of maize at about 100,000, 90,000. They make a lot of money. Cost of input was never the problem at that time. So they are getting premium of value of their efforts and their production. Now, if you find about 18 local governments in Kaduna State, they will not tell you that there is hunger in Nigeria or in Kaduna State, because every single person in the majority, substantial number of our people in rural communities have the food they will eat. And they have capital financing to buy, meet their obligation and pay their bills.
Right? For the farmers, right?
That's for the farmers. But the problem we have with the media is that people that are living within the central areas, you know, that are, you know, again, the white collars, the civil servant, the this, the that. Of course, you don't expect a civil servant to be buying, when the minimum wage is about, what, 80,000? Most states have not even implemented, to buy a rice or a bag of maize at 100,000 naira, particularly in a family of 6. So it's a complex issue. However, now because this privileged cosmopolitan population are privileged with media and platforms, are outspoken, are knowledge-wise, are educated, they can go to media, spend 2 hours, cry as if everybody is crying. Then the government is forced to take immediate emergency measures because the media is a pressure group itself. So, and that's what forced the government to enable importation. At first, 250 metric tons of rice was allowed to be imported. 250,000 metric tons of maize was allowed to be imported. That's summing up to 500 metric tons. Yeah, so now, in Nigeria, the problem is that if you now said that 500 metric tons to be imported is allowed to be imported, a waiver is given. Because under the previous administration, particularly by President Muhammadu Buhari, you can remember in one of his media outings, he said, if we cannot produce what we can eat, say yung wokowa kashe, that's in Hausa. He jokingly said it. But actually, because that waiver was enabled, then we had massive importation.
Okay, GM sir, you mentioned something key, or germane, if I would say, is that the agrarian society or the farmers, they've got enough. So other Nigerian populace should buy expensive. That was what I got from your message. Because yes, maybe according to statistics, the Nigerian civil service combined with the states are now up to 10 million people, right? But out of maybe 200 million people plus, if only the farmers are able to afford because they farm, should the rest of the populace just not look for support?
Then what is the ratio of the farmers in Nigeria to the ratio of those that are not farmers?
Please, in the audience, kindly Google for us, simple, the agrarian society in Nigeria, what's the total number, and the other people, because it's very important. The farmers as is, if we look at statistics and the insecurity indices, I don't think the farmer population is up to 10 million. So out of 200 million people, if civil servant cries out, it means it affects almost 2/3 of the population, right?
You are looking at the food security as per the only primary production component of it. Now, in the agriculture, there are 3 value chains that are very critical. There is the production chain, there is the projection component. That's the primary production component. That's directly the farmers. And there is the processing component, which is the industries that process them into different food varieties that you consume.
Do we have enough of industries to process what we farm?
We
still like import most of these processed things back to Nigeria, right?
Not really. For instance, you know, the CBN Development Financing Unit has done a very good job. You have to give it to them, because a lot of rice milling companies and factories have sprung up during that time in Nigeria.
With borrowers?
Yes, you can say what you want to say about it, but we have seen a lot of rice milling companies. Some rices that we buy, the Thailand rice variety that we buy, we end up seeing the same output in Kurmamashi here in Kaduna, something that you don't see ever before, you know? So, because there is processing component, you know, and that hires substantial number of people,
And there is the marketing component, those that deals with the export. So don't look at the agriculture as only to the farmers who produces. It's a whole lot of a value chain.
On the value chain, who are the people that are the top on the value chain?
Now, the problem is that the farmers are supposed to be the top because they are the one doing the major part of the sector, which is the production. But unfortunately, the marketers benefit more premium from that productivity than the primary producers.
Okay, we'll get back to you. GM. GM are quite a lot to talk about. So we'll get back to you to talk to us about what you do at your agency, and we'll give you the final mic to share your final thoughts. The questions, please, and direct it to the person you want to answer. Please take the mic to the audience. Thank you. Thank you. I believe this is an interesting conversation that we should, at the end of the day, what are we taking away? What are we going to be doing differently from today? So that's the call to action. Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Halima also, Halima Abba Ibrahim. Yeah, actually, you have started to say what I want to say. I too sometimes like to talk in Ngausa. If we're talking of politics, sometimes politicians say, Kura atana kauyeka, that's the remote areas. So whatever we are going to say now here, it may have to have a relationship with the people at the remote communities. So what are we going to do now? It's not for us that we have access to come and sit in this hall, to attend the activity, or sorry, the event, to be in the room. We have access to internet, we have television and everything. So what are we going to do about those that I think their population is more greater than us? What will be done to reach out to those people, to see how we can change minds together with those people?
Thank you so much, my Takwara. Let's do it in Gausa. We're all journalists, right? Yeah. So we should do that. First, I think you should search within. As an organization, S24 is committed to telling underrepresented stories, and we don't just stop in this room. We go to rural communities. Meizauri, do you understand that? Yes, Meizauri, let's talk to people. Because when it comes to awareness, the grassroots need it more than we do. You've mentioned the key indices. We've got all of these things for us, but what do we give back? So let's start with you. Mezaki our immediate community, Linky, as a call to action, and I mean action. Where is the secretariat? Please take note. Also, be the same Bibia. So, what would you do personally to change the narrative?
Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, like you mentioned earlier, I'm a media person. I have a short story, though I know there's no time. Just like quickly, there's an intervention happened during at Northeast story during Boko Haram time. So at that time, I'm working with one of the media, and it's like an international media. So there's an attack at the remote community village like this. So it was a radio platform that I'm working at that time. So the person, there's a person quickly called me in the midnight, actually. He called me. When he called me, I was even not to answer the call, but I just said, let me just answer that call. So when I answered the call, I just started to hear the gunshot, the Allahu Akbar, and how people are struggling. It's so traumatized. Yeah, so traumatized scenario of which I will never forget that. So when he was saying, Kutai Mekeni, sorry, I'm using Hausa, help us. I was at that time I was confused. I don't know yazani. Bakuna radio ba dan Allah ku taimake mu am kawo mu hari. So I just asked him, please, can I record? He said yes, record it. So immediately I tried to record. It's almost 5 minutes because he told me where he is, where they're being attacked, and in the process of telling me the story, we just got disconnected. So at that time I just thought that maybe he's at a no network area. So immediately the following morning, I supposed to resume to the office 8, but I was in the office as earlier as 6. Because I am I can say I am the one who is packaging the radio show. So I already have completed my radio show that will be broadcasted at that day. But because of the importance of that thing, I just quickly record myself while packaging this program. There's a quick information that I wanted you guys to listen. So I just make an insert to that radio show. Though I try to alter the voice, I didn't allow his name. Yeah, I did that. So
of course,
quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there wasn't quick response at the time. So she's trying
no,
to...
No, I didn't reach my point. Sorry, ma. With due respect, allow me to conclude before you, George.
Okay,
I'm
please,
sorry.
Can you round off?
Quickly, at the long time, it was after like a week when the person called me back again. He started thanking me. I said, what happened? I even forgot what is going on. He said that you have sent military people to come and rescue us when we are on top of a hill.
It was a week after.
He said a day. He said a day after, because the military said they heard it from a radio show. Okay. That's what he said.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, if there is any question, keep it very brief. We'll take one or two more and go back to the experts and round it off. Thank you. Next. Okay, James, right? The mic is there. James is at the other end. So while we're waiting for James, Dr. Jamila and GM, Mal and Yusuf, be prepared. Be prepared for your round off. Okay, the question says, do you want me to read this question or you've got a question there? James, is this your question?
No, it's not mine.
Okay, pass the mic to James first. Thank you.
My question is this. So, concerning, someone made mention of knowing, you asked a question about we knowing Nigeria, the Gen Zs, and then someone gave the former commissioner of education, the lady, Ms. Jamila, she spoke about history being taken out of our school curriculum. But I could remember vividly while I was in primary school, I was taught history. But currently, in the last 10 years, Nigeria has suffered from political apathy, especially from the youths. And we are not participating in politics as compared to the initial parts of our country. So now, I was taught history, but it didn't in any way reform me towards making me interested in politics.
Interested in Nigeria?
Yeah, so in Nigerian politics of the day. So please, my question is this: what do we think can in any way inspire our youth to engage in politics in today? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Dr. Jamila would answer that. I don't know, but for me, what we need to do is, I think there is nobody that will come and save you. First, you need to be self-aware. You need to know who you are. What is your driving force? What do you want to become and all of that? So if you know all of these things, answers to all of these things, I think it will inform you. Because do you think maybe someone in good position of leadership that is actually making impact would be able to give you time to come and school you one-on-one on politics? It's not possible. So if you get avenues like maybe the Sir Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship or the SPPG, School of Public Policy and Governance, right? Or the LMI by the National Assembly and all of that, you will not be spoon-fed from cooking, from getting ingredients to cooking and giving you the food and all of that. So you need to be self-aware, take conscious effort to learn about leadership, and then you take it forward from that. But maybe from expert opinion in the audience, there are people that will speak to that. But for me, be self-aware first, then you will know whether you can be a leader in your own right or not. Thank you. So in the audience, Mr. John, anything around that?
You've ignored me for quite a while because I've been itching to get involved in this conversation. Deliberately ignored me.
Apologies.
No, I'm only joking. I think it's interesting just picking up what you were saying there about agriculture. Again, the words that we use, and how what it means to me as a farmer and what it means to you as someone who buys food from a supermarket. We had someone recently came in for an interview on S24, you can watch it on any of our channels, and he was talking about that young people just don't value farming. If they're not told about jobs, as in a farmer's role is important, they're important to our nation, it's important that we are able to feed ourselves, then they will just listen to other people, whether that's on social media or anybody else saying internationalization is good, globalization, we can get our food from anywhere, you don't have to eat this, you can eat this. And so the role of the media as well is really important because, again, they're the ones that champion the value of a farmer. As much as Liza talking about, you know, people that are serving on the front line and soldiers, the job that she does in keeping their story told. And we've got Miss Eunice at the back with her project Unseen Heroes about army wives, you know, being they're in the army as much as their partners are. I think it's important that the media is challenged on who is worthy of news and who is worthy of coverage. And we also need to be thinking about the power of social media, which is you can work for yourself, you can be your own entrepreneur, you can work online. They live in a borderless world, Gen Z. They live in they do not know borders like we do. Borders mean nothing. They can talk to anybody. And therefore, working as a freelancer in the gig economy, doing things that you want, suddenly being a farmer is not interesting to them. But why isn't being a farmer sold as a source of long-term sustainable revenue? Because I know there must be money in farming, because Miss Halima wouldn't have been interested. I'm sure she's going to be talking to you about the money to be made in farming. And that's what we need to be thinking about. It all comes back to the role that the media plays in being able to tell us what's important, who's important, and the words that we use to do it. So I think how to counter that with the mainstream media, and this is something that Mr. Lima alluded to earlier, I came into journalism through the community media aspect. And what you realise that when you empower people, just as individuals that are the most marginalised in society, when they're empowered and given access to technology and smartphones, actually they are as engaged in politics as young people are in their own way. So you'll have people down here talking about the impact of politics on them through Facebook. You've got young people, Gen Z, talking about the impact of politics on them. But what's happening is we're getting this massive group of people not talking to this massive group of people that actually is bigger than the amount of people that voted in the last presidential election in Nigeria. So that's the challenge that we have. How do we make the media work for us? Not the mainstream media. How do we use media tools and channels work for us? And that's why we work so proactively, both here in the UK with the UCO Bureau and here in Nigeria with mass communication students, is because they've actually got the solution to the problem. They just need to be empowered to have the opportunity to share those stories.
Thank you, Mr. John. I'm afraid due to time, it's just some 10-20 seconds per people in the front row to speak to your key action word. What are we going to be doing differently from today? Oh, there is a question, sorry. With the challenges currently in KASU about strike, Prof is still in the building? Okay. What measures can we mass communication student put in place to assist the whole university? Is it by posting write-ups on social media, I don't know, content creation, or talking about it on radio, or what? Just to grab government attention and find a solution. Yes, Mr. John, do you want?
I think it's about the opportunity that you guys will have with an MOU with your university, with S24. Suddenly, you're not on student radio. You know, you're on radio. You're not on student TV. You're on TV. You know, when you're on the platform, the Facebook page for the university, it's not just that. You need to be rising up and raising your aspirations. Now, if anything that you wrote that was important enough, or anything you filmed, or any audio you made was important enough, yeah, that with S24 we could give that a platform. You need to be using the right platforms for amplifying your voices. If they don't exist, you should start them. Stop starting. There we go. It's an oxymoron, isn't it? Stop starting. Start making businesses, enterprises, micro enterprises, and be entrepreneurial about giving people a platform. Why does all of our social media platforms, none of them come from the continent? They're all from somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. John. I think just quickly on the question before we go, you can do incident to impact story. So spotlight the KASU strike. Is it only KASU or the National Union? It's only KASU. And Kaduna State University is a state university. Yes. No, she raised, I thought you wanted to say something. What is? I think it's always going to be different.
I want to ask you a question. What is S24 doing about the health situation?
Okay, we'll get to that. Let's just answer the last question and then get to that. So the governance room speaks to issues in governance. So it can touch base with anything. Today's focus, we're on 3 key issues: insecurity, including food insecurity, and also what the community is doing to change the narrative. So the next topic would be on that, but there are programs on S24 that addresses that. So just keep following us, you see updates on that. Thank you. So KASU student, you can do incident to impact storytelling on your current situation. What is the impact of this strike on you? You know what it is. That who are the key people that will make this come to an end? You know them. So you can serve as a mediator, start a storyline. If your prof is still there, I would say start with the prof. Do you enjoy sitting, not coming to classroom? Yes, we want to do a story about that. This is the impact on us, our time, our maybe creative prowess and all of that. Please, you do the story, make sure it's balanced enough for you to draw the attention of the VC and other people, key important people, to listen to you. And you make sure that it goes on platforms that will reach the state government and maybe the national level as well. So I think that should be incident to impact reporting or storytelling that you would do. Final question that will be taken is to Malam Muhammad, the GM. So you mentioned that many youths are not willing to engage in farming. As a young person who is interested in farming, what opportunities, funds, or loans are available to people interested like us to engage in agriculture? Thank you. I think it should be agribusiness, so. Kaki culture, culture. Okay, please take the mic back to GM, and then we take the final thoughts and call it a day. Thank you. Where's the mic, please? Yes, please. Yeah. Very briefly, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think, my success, my legacy as General Manager CADA is to see how many people I tried, by all means necessary, to put into agriculture. So wherever I go, my success is determined by the number of people I hired into the sector. So what are we doing differently now to, encourage, inspire young people to participate in the agriculture? What are the opportunities that we are bringing in forward? First, what we are doing is to make sure that they are, of course, like I said, thinking agribusiness, commercialization of the sector generally, because that's what makes them feel like they have money. They will have money out of it. Second is, how do we move from cultural practices, to modern, innovative, and technological, application in making the sector more interesting and inspiring. That's digital, smart climate agricultural practices. So we are promoting that squarely. We are bringing in partners, development partners, companies and organizations in order to build that momentum from CADA. And we have been achieving that. We've been recruiting that. We've been working with a lot of students. For instance, from Kaduna Polytechnic, from I think ABU, I think from Federal University of Education, and even last week we are trying to engage Department of Adult Education in Federal University of Education, Zaria. So these are all things we are doing in place to tell people that, look, you can now be smart in agriculture, you can check your crop health, you can, you can do so many things. And you don't have to use the hoe and the local rigger, you can use machineries and what have you and implement to do that. So what are we doing on the part of access to financing for capital raising? Because that's another big issue. So what I did
when we started fertilizer input subsidy support and free distribution to farmers in Kaduna State, we deliberately, as a matter of policy, targeted 30% to go to youth between the age of, I think, 22 to 35. The idea is to bring them in. Put 20% of women and leave the rest of the 50
Thank you,
to regular
GM.
farmers.
I think we'll sit with you on all that you do properly and do a spotlight because of time. It's time for masjid and we need to go. Just quickly, opportunities is what she asked for. I believe she can still reach out to you and get to know about opportunities. Thank you so much. Dr. Jamila, in a nutshell, what's your key takeaway from this event, and what actionable point would you be able to implement immediately you leave that will impact whether you're a student or with cares and other things that you're involved in? Very briefly, the mic is still there. Please, in that order, so we would call it a day.
So thank you very much. I think it's evident, even though it's something that I believe in. From the conversation, I think it's very evident that we need to give more emphasis on education. Because all the things that, for instance, the GM is saying bounce back to whether people know and whether they see it as a priority, something that they want to imbibe. For instance, the youth. Do they know about agribusiness? What's the difference between agribusiness and agriculture? If, for instance, I just grew up, my father as a farmer is someone that come home with a tattered cloth, you know, holding a hoe. Is it something that I want to see myself doing in the future? I think there's that orientation. Something fancy, but now we are getting to know that there is a lot of things to believe in. So that education is very important.
Education. So what would you be doing in the education?
So for me, it's definitely going to be deliberate about some of the things that we're doing. Even back in the university, like I mentioned, the curriculum. I wanted to add more to the question that was asked before now, but I think it's just that we emphasize on the, is it self-awareness, self-realization, but like I said, a change mindset that Nigeria is enormous. There are opportunities, you know, we have to love Nigeria and we don't have any other place to go. We have to understand Nigeria first before we even know what we want to contribute. When we self-realize ourselves, and that's what we've been doing through the fellowship programs that we've introduced through WEEK. We will continue to do that. Our communication fellows, and I want to see the media also, based on what was discussed here, being deliberate about who they want to put in the forefront. Is it the government or the people that such policies and programs or the governance affect the most? So please, let's give more voice to the voiceless, to the very people that we are serving.
That's one of our core. Thank you so much. Please pass the mic to Mr. Yusuf.
Okay, very quickly because of time. Okay, I was in Germany and we had this conversation about guys staying back. And I was told that, okay, I can stay back and maybe after 5 years I get a passport and become a citizen of Germany. And I told them that I don't want to be a citizen of any other country apart from Nigeria. I want to have a permanent residence in Germany, but I don't want to have a passport, citizenship other than Nigeria. So why this is a relation to a question she raised about how do we get patriotic people. These are not taught in school as long as the Nigerian system is concerned, because they only give a course that Nigerian patriotism and a course that a teacher will hardly come to class and maybe after just close to the exams and everybody go to read just to pass, not to inculcate the knowledge. So one sure way that we got and we encourage the young people to do is to join the school politics while you are in school. You will learn about Nigeria free of charge and you develop that patriotism to be a citizen that is aspiring to add value to the system.
Yes.
So I think I'll stop.
Thank you so much. James, I believe you've learned something there. So learn from school. Join student union. You know, there is youth parliament as well. So find a youth parliament that you can fit in and join. Yes. Yes. Mr. Jaff, nothing? Okay, we go to Comrade. Comrade Akwai Magana all the time. Please give Comrade and Mr. Jibrin the mic. Thank you.
Mine is just an addendum to the second to the last question about farming. I think You know, this farming is a very, very good and lucrative in terms of getting money. You know, I'm a farmer, a practical farmer by extension. So you must not go to the bush to farm. You can farm within the urban or your comfort zone. Right now, I think I'm the highest producer of pawpaw in Kaduna State.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So
producer of cocoa?
Pawpaw.
Pawpaw.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonder.
So it's a very lucrative business and it needs very little capital. You just need to have a little experience about it. Then you will explore all the opportunities there. So I will tell you that if you are ready, we run some courses and entrepreneurial programs to enlighten and give more knowledge on how to carry out these farming activities within your own house.
Thank you. I'm interested. I want to grow what I eat. Because all these GMOs. Yes, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think a quick one from me. We must learn to keep asking the right questions to the right authority. At least by doing that, we will be up to date with the current happenings within the locality. Then secondly, we must learn to participate in community development projects or program. Then thirdly, we must seek knowledge. Because without knowledge, you cannot ask the right questions. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I believe there is a lot to say, but we need to call it a wrap. There is not much time to, not up to a minute, but straight to the point. People are going to the masjid, please.
I want to add one more thing about insecurity. So what I realized, one more thing that is fueling more insecurity in Nigeria is we have so many imams now and priests coming out and just saying anything. Everybody has a platform to just come out and, you know, instigate violence in the name of preaching. So why don't, like, government set, like, a school that every other person that wants to be a priest or an imam would pass through before being given
there are schools like
given a license.
License. I remember that the state government in Kaduna once upon a time said they were going to introduce something around license. I think it's another conversation. Yes. We should all look inward and see the way we can contribute to change that. Thank you so much for your input and for making this a very rewarding one. There is commitment board, which is part of the program, and we can't close without making one or two persons commit to something today. And top on the list is Mr. Yusuf Amoke, please. Commitment today. You're in the SDG area. What would you commit to today that we can track, we can measure? Khadija, where are you? Commit. One thing, we want to write it.
Okay, I'll do
Come and write on the commitment board,
for
please.
The 30 days commitment. I'm going to plant 30 trees, and each one for each day, up until 30 days.
30 days.
So we're going to start from
30
first.
trees. Yeah. 30 trees for 30 days.
Yeah, we're going to start 1st of next month. 1st
of September. Add the date. Thank you.
So the next is GM?
Yes.
You know why he quickly sent it to me? Because
I'm going to plant 2 trees every day for 30 days.
He and I has a serious debate over and over again in respect to climate issues. So I think that's why he quickly pushed it to me. So my commitment is to, I will want to commit that my agency will partner with the S24 in order to advance farmer education and more so avail our expert, both technical and administrative expert, to participate in different kinds of a program in order to take ample time to explain why the mindset into the agriculture to agribusiness is key, very paramount. And I don't think we can do that in 30 days. I think we should do it in 60 days and beyond.
So raise GM of CADA 60 days. Yes. Just put it in brackets, 60 days to achieve.
Yes, we will do that. I will send a formal letter to S24 in order to formalize the commitment so that even when I'm not in CADA tomorrow, the next GM continues.
Thank you so much. That's a big commitment. So The farmer by extension and by everything, the pawpaw farmer in Asongwanda. What's your commitment? Commitment. Please take the mic to our farmer comrade. Yes, please. Khadija. So the first name is Madam Yusuf. So add the name. The second one is the GM of CADA, and the third one is our comrade farmer.
My commitment today, or let me say my 30 days commitment, is going to be that I will always make one Facebook post that educate people on how to undergo this farming.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. 30 days commitment to show people the way to go about farming. 30 days, every day. Every day. Marlon Jibrin, I don't want to call names, though. I don't want to call names, though. You do not want. Bamal and Jibrin.
Well, as somebody who is interested in bridging gaps when it comes to policy formulation, implementation, and other advances related to that, I think my first 30 days commitment should be, I should be able to extend my, how do I put it? Well, I'm going to invest more in partnership, collaboration, and more networking.
Invest more?
Yes,
so
invest more.
Where should we track that? Invest more?
I think where you should track that is most important is the collaboration aspect. Because everybody will think we can do it alone.
Yes,
collaboration.
Collaboration. Personally, we'll follow through with you to collaborate. Thank you so much.
Uncle Jam.
We go to Dr. Jamila again because I want you to commit. You must commit today.
Yeah, obviously. So I think based on the conversation, I'm very much interested in pushing more narrative about youth participation in, for instance, agriculture. And I understand the importance of climate change, so I would like to collaborate with
CADA.
Yes, for inclusion of agric education and the fellowship that we're doing, specifically agric business, so that we have more people interested. Okay. And then the climate change aspect to be part of it. The governance is what we are doing. I would like to commit that by next month, we should be having our next cohort, and youth participation in governance will be the major theme for the next cohort. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commitment. Thank you. I don't know if any student wants to commit. Commit. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. It's been an insightful conversation. And we look forward to more of this. You can always reach out to S24 if there are stories of impact to tell. We would like to collaborate. We want to tell the underrepresented people's stories, and we can't do it alone. I think it was Mr. Yusuf that said, why can't Nigerian media be as good as the ones we see abroad, like Al Jazeera or the CNN? They get support. So support us through this. We don't have the resources to be in every part of Nigeria, but there are students that can provide reports. And you also got a platform there to push out your content and all of that. So let's come together. Collaboration is key, and nobody can do it alone. You can go far by doing alone, but you would not go farther doing it alone. So let's do this again. Thank you so much. We look forward to another Governance Room edition in Kaduna with key people as well. Today was not as planned, but of course, as S24, we always do plan A to Z. And we would always try this again and again to make sure that we change the media ecosystem. Thank you so much for being part of this. Until next time, see you again. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Yes, please, group photos before you go. Please. Thank you.
For every win, someone